Right, let me share my screen. All right, so this is my presentation for Where is Schueller? So we were given the location data for Schueller's, or the data set of Schueller's location data over the past 11 years, and I wanted to see what I could discover. So first, I wanted to clean up the data. So I loaded it from the pickle file. And then I wanted to really only keep the latitude E7, longitude E7, and then timestamp columns because those are only really the ones of interest for me. And then to make the latitude and longitude easier to read, I divided them by 10 to the negative seventh, and that created smaller decimals. And then the final few steps of cleaning the data, I changed the timestamp column to a date time format. And then I changed it to Pacific time zone and then set the data or set the timestamp as the index, which is now a date time format. And so now the data is all cleaned up and ready to be studied. So the first question I wanted to ask was, I wanted to figure out if Schueller went to church at all, and if so, which church did he go to? So I started this by filtering the above data frame local underscore DF to Sundays so that we are only looking at Sundays. And then I also filtered it to between 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., which would be the typical times of a morning service. And then looking down here at the data, it's really difficult to see if there's any, like there's no clustering at any specific places. We have clustering at home, clustering on Whitman's campus, some over at Walmart, but nothing at a religious establishment. So I wanted to check if if he went to church or if he went to church, yeah, if he went to church on Saturday, as Judaism and Seventh-day Adventists have Sabbath on Saturday. And so I did the same thing, filtered to Saturday. And then I went from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. and then also plotted this. And there were not, and there wasn't any clustering in any religious establishments as well. So, but what you could notice was that there was a lot of different paths happening all around here, which I can only assume that it would be a bike ride because they all are like bike trails. So it doesn't appear that Schueller goes to church, but it does look like that he takes a lot of bike rides, which might be his own type of religious experience, you can say. And then for my second hypothesis, I wanted to see how many times Schueller has left his phone at work overnight. And so I will test only at Olin Hall because that's where his office is and where he's doing most of his classes. And if it is, I'll see if it's in a spot at 11 p.m. And then I will see if it's in the same spot at 3 p.m. or 3 a.m. And so if it is within the same spot, then we can logically conclude that it hasn't moved and it has been left overnight. So first I filtered from to only be at 11 p.m. and then plotted that data here. And there are a lot fewer because it is such a specific time. Got to get back up to Whitman's campus. And as you can see, there are only 6 observations, so very few. So he's left it potentially 6 times. And then I wanted to test at 3 a.m. to see if the location stayed the same or if they changed. And so we go back to Walla Walla and we look at Olin, we can see that there's now only 5 locations. So we can logically conclude that he left his phone overnight 5 times. And those days were, the 4 of them were in October and 1 was in December. They were all in 2023. So it appears that Schueller's not left his phone at work in the past 10 years, which is quite impressive. And for my above and beyond, I wanted to see where Schueller was on my birthday, which is May 31st. And so I filtered to only May 31st of 2024. And then I plotted this data set, and it appears that Schueller was in Los Angeles, specifically around Manhattan Beach on my birthday this year. So that was my above and beyond, and that was my location data exploration.